Hello, my name is Tyra Johnson Hux, and I'm with LISC New York. And joining me today is,
And my name is Derrick Parsons. I am with the Exchange at Beverly Gray.
today we will be telling you about the East Buffalo Small Business Working Capital Grant Program, brought to you by Empire State Development and in collaboration with LISC, Local Initiative Support Corporation of New York, in addition to the Exchange at Beverly Gray and the Foundry. So we are giving you this presentation. This is actually a slide that we used just a few minutes ago when we gave this live. So we can go to the next slide and tell you a little bit about background information. So this is an initiative. The East Buffalo Small Business Working Capital Grant is a $3 million program brought to us by our governor, Kathy Hochul, who is from Western New York, of course. And she brought this initiative to help our largely minority-owned establishments and small businesses, assist them and alleviate social and economic impacts of the mass shooting, the tragic shooting that happened on May 14th at the Tops Market on Jefferson Avenue. This program was created to provide grants from $5,000 to $50,000 to eligible small businesses in a designated targeted area of the east side of Buffalo. Let's go to the next slide. So this is a description written out of what our target geographic area is. You'll see our boundaries include the 33, the 198, Main Street on both sides of that street. So both the east and west side of Main Street, meaning the properties that front both sides of that street. North Street as well, Michigan Street and Goodell Street. And in the next slide, we have a visualization of what I just said. And so we have in this dark gray area, the area that is represented to be our target area for the grant. So if you are outside of this area, you need not apply because you would not be eligible. Please note that it is, I think in its entirety, zip code 14208 or 14208. And there's only a portion of the 14209 and the 14204 zip codes included. Also note that I stated previously that Main, North, Michigan, and Goodell, for those streets, properties can be facing both sides of the street, meaning the fronts can be on both sides of the street. However, for the 33 and 198, we are restricted to the area that is contained in that gray space. So meaning if you're on the north side of the 198, you would not be eligible. You need to be south of the 198. Do you have anything to add to that, Derrick?
Yeah, the same is true for on the Route 33. So the further you move east past the actual 33, then you are not eligible. So it contains on that side of the 33 that's heading west towards Main Street. Again, in that 14208 area, as well as in that 14204 area for the 33.
Good. So let's talk about eligibility. So to be eligible for this grant program, the East Buffalo Small Business Working Capital Grant Program, you must be over 18. If you have more than one business, you can only apply for one business. And we would encourage you to apply for your largest business. That is, if it has $1 million or under in revenues for a certain year, which we will get to in just a moment. You are eligible if you have either a home-based, meaning a residential business, or a commercial business. The business must be considered small, having less than 100 employees, and it is industry neutral, agnostic. So you don't necessarily have to have a particular type of industry But you must primarily be serving our local community, and by that meaning the Western New York area. And we'll give an example of that, I think, in just a moment. So let's go to our next slide. So you see here that, again, your business has to be within a range, a dollar amount range for annual revenues. $5,000 is the minimum, $1 million is the maximum, as verified by your 2021 tax returns. Your business needs to be in operation before December 31st of 2021. And again, I'll repeat that, it needs to be in operation before December 31st of 2021. So if you started your business either in 2022 or 2023, you are not eligible. However, if you are a sole proprietor, a contractor, including somebody that does, for example, ride share drivers, you're eligible as long as your business address, where you're registered, your business is registered, is within that targeted area that we spoke about before. Franchises are also eligible, but grants are limited to one per franchise owner. And note again, even if you have a franchise, you have to be within that threshold of less than $1 million in annual revenues. And then in order to be eligible, you must have a business bank account. All funds will be wired electronically, so you must have an account in order to be eligible. Okay, let me pause a moment and ask Derrick if there's anything that you think I missed in terms of the eligibility on that previous slide.
No, I think you touched on everything there. I just reiterate that for those contractor services, the ride shares, you just have to remember it goes by the actual address that you have registered the business, whether DBA, LLC, corporation. It goes by that address, and it must fall within that the guidelines of the geographical area.
Great. So our grant amounts are based off of your gross receipts. So if you are less than $50,000, you're eligible for a $5,000 grant amount. If you are less than $100,000, or I should say $50,000 to $100,000, you're eligible for a $10,000 grant. Now, if you're in between $100,000 and $1 million, the award will be approximately 10% of your gross receipts. And by saying approximately, I mean there will be rounding for the grant award. But the maximum grant award that you can receive, regardless if you're over $500,000, is $50,000 is the maximum grant. This application is, and this opportunity, I should say, is first come, first served, meaning those that are eligible and who have successfully completed their application will be first in line to receive funds. And so I would just reiterate here that if you try to apply multiple times, that doesn't necessarily do you any good. Only the latest application will be the one that we look at. So your chances do not increase if you apply more than once. So let's talk about ineligible businesses. So home-based businesses, which are primarily oriented to serve customers and clients outside the region. So an example is that if you have an online marketplace and you sell statewide or outside of the state, meaning you have a t-shirt shop, you sell to people in Arizona. You don't necessarily sell to people in the Western New York area. And by that, I mean the majority of your business is outside this area, then you are ineligible for this grant opportunity. Also, businesses that receive funding through ESD's $800 million Pandemic Small Business Recovery Grant Program are not eligible, and you must attest to the fact that you did not receive funding from that program. There's another program that will make you ineligible if you received funding from, which is the $200 million Flexible Grant Program for early stage businesses. So if you received that fund, if you received funding from that grant, you are not eligible for this one. And again, you must attest to the fact that you did not receive funding from that particular fund. Also, religious organizations, lobbying organizations, and elected officials who are the owner of small businesses are ineligible to receive grants under this program. Derrick, is there anything you'd like to add to that?
No, I think you covered everything on that one.
Great. So this is a snapshot of what the actual grant application looks like on the front page. Please note that there is a frequently asked questions link that you will find on the application. And so that will go back to the LISC.org/Western New York page. That will show you some of the most frequently asked questions, which actually is most of the things that we're covering in this recording. Let's go to the next slide. So on your application, it will ask these general categories of information. You will see that it asks for the owner's name and contact information. Please note that you can actually have somebody else apply on your behalf, but it will ask if you are the actual owner or if you're applying on somebody else's behalf. We will ask for business background information. We will also ask for your business location, which is very important because you need to be within the vicinity that we described before. You have to be in that targeted geographic area. We will ask for the structure of your business. Now, any type of business structure is eligible. You could be S Corp, a C Corp, an LLC, partnership, a sole proprietor, but we do ask for the information. Additionally, we ask for your years in business, your revenue, and what sector, what industry you're in. There's some additional information we ask in terms of socioeconomic data. However, this information is optional. However, I do encourage you to fill out that information. Both Beverly Gray and LISC are in the business to serve under resource communities. And so when we ask for that data, it just helps us to determine that we're fulfilling our mission. So this is, again, another snapshot of the application. We ask that you provide a brief description of your business, and by brief, we mean it could be a few lines. We also ask, who your customers are and why did you start your business? It could be very short. This whole application shouldn't take more than 10 or 15 minutes, but there's one exception where we ask you to upload one document. Now, if you need to pause and go get that information, it may take a little bit longer. However, there is, I should have mentioned this earlier, at the very beginning of the application, there's a checkbox that asks if you'd like to save that data. And so you need to make sure on that first page, you click that box. So if you do need to leave, you can come back to your application at a later time. Okay, so this is question 6 and 6.1. We're not going to go through all the questions in this recording. However, we just wanted to give you a glimpse of what you can expect when filling out the application. Let's go to the next slide. Here I'll point out there's 3 questions here. One of them has a red asterisk next to them. That means that it is required to complete the application. The ones that do not are not required to complete it. However, we encourage you to fill out as much as possible. We understand that not all businesses have a website, so therefore you may leave that blank. We understand that some businesses don't have social media, so therefore you can leave that blank as well. However, if you are a smaller business or a home-based business, I would encourage you to try to put information about your digital footprint in this portion of the application, because we will be verifying, doing background checks on the businesses that make it to that next stage. And so if you are a smaller business, it may be harder to verify that you're a legitimate business, but by adding things like your digital footprint, it helps us to make that determination. So question number 12 will ask you about your total gross receipts for 2021. We are looking at 2021 revenue. And all you need to do here is simply click which of those ranges that you are applicable to your business. And then also, again, we're making sure that your business is mainly doing work in this Western New York region. Let's go to the next slide. We ask you information about your workers, your full-time workers, and your part-time workers. In part, we ask that information because we'd like to see how many potential employees a grant opportunity like this is affecting. Let's go to the next slide. We'll ask in the application, what is your primary business industry? On this particular question, I know for a fact that if you click on one of those, it may ask you a follow-up question because it's trying to drill down on what type of business you have. So expect maybe another follow-up question after you see this on number 17. Number 28 asks, what is the primary purpose of this grant request? And again, I'd like to remind you, although I say there's 28 questions, it should not take you that long to fill out this application. And it's meant to be brief and to the point. However, we do need to make sure that you're using this for working capital, operating costs, things such as payrolls, rent, mortgage, payment of your taxes, insurance costs, things of that sort. It should not necessarily be used for capital expenses. This is one of the questions we have that is optional about your socioeconomic data. We would like to know, for example, if you are a veteran-owned business or if you're a woman-owned business. Again, that helps us to determine that we're really serving those communities that we're focused on for both organizations, both the Exchange and for LISC. We work with under-resourced communities, in particular minority communities. And so we'd like to know that we're actually hitting the people, or that we're working with the people that we serve, that we would like to serve. Let's go to the next one, and that is uploads and what you need to attest to. So this is probably the only time there is a question that asks you to upload proof of your business. It could be a DBA, LLC filing, or corporate filing. It could be in several formats in terms of what that file type is. So I believe you could do a PDF or a PNG. However, if you do not have one of those, you can also upload your most recent Schedule C form. If you're having problems uploading that information, I would ask you to go to either the Foundry or the Exchange. A little bit later on, we will show you the address of those two organizations. They can help you in trying to determine or figure out how you can upload that information. But I would say go ahead and fill out everything else. Make sure you click that box at the beginning so you could save it. And then when you get there, if you need help, that will be the last little bit, and then you can press send. Okay, so other considerations. The applications are time-stamped. You should not be submitting multiple times because it will not increase your chances. And right now, the application period ends Friday, February 17th. At that point, we will evaluate where we stand in terms of the grant applications. We'll take a pause. If we don't think that the funds will be expended, we may open up for another round. But again, encouraging everybody to apply as soon as possible. Let's go to the next slide. That may be the end. I think there's one more. Yes. So our last slide is where you can get assistance. Derrick is here from Beverly Gray. Derrick, do you want to talk about the office hours you're offering?
Yeah, so one of the biggest things that we're doing, whether it be the Exchange or the Foundry, is we're making sure that it's easy for applicants to get help and assistance while applying. And so as you can see here, here at the Exchange, as well as the Foundry, we have times, designated time slot where someone will be available to help you with scanning documents. If you need to do the application live, we have computers on site that you can actually do that and fill out any type of paperwork that you need to fill out. We're here with some pamphlets as well too, so you can get an understanding of the mapping, the geographic area that's included specifically for this application, or in submitting an application rather. And so Tuesdays and Wednesdays from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. as you see there, and Thursdays from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. And just up the block on Northampton Street, the Foundry is open on Mondays from 6 to 9 p.m. and on Saturdays for those who need feel it's better for them to come on the weekends. They're open from Saturdays at 9 to 1.
Okay. So one of the things I like to point out is that this is the application that you fill out is simple to complete, relatively simple to complete. But if you are deemed eligible and a finalist for award, we will then be contacting those organizations, or I should say companies, for some follow-up information. So that follow-up information will include a portion of your tax return, so we can verify your revenue information. We'll also include asking for your bank account information, which we do not do any paper checks, so we do everything digitally. So you will have to give us that information so it could be transferred digitally. And we also ask for things such as the W-9. So ahead of time going into this, you should know there's going to be some additional steps so that we verify your business information, verify where the money could be sent, and that everything looks clean. And hopefully it will be a smooth process, but if you need help at that point, you could still go to the Exchange and the Foundry for additional assistance. Anything else you'd like to add, Derrick?
No, we're just excited to be offering this this grant. I know here at the Exchange and at the Foundry, we're excited to help all applicants to get the best, put the best application forward. So we're here, and if you need us, you have those dates. And remember, the last day is the 17th. Okay, so you want to make sure if you feel you fall in those guidelines, get over to either the Exchange or the Foundry as soon as possible if you need help with that application.
Derrick, I'd like to add one more thing, because there may be a chance that English is not your first language. You may need assistance in another language. The Exchange and the Foundry are connected with the International Institute. So if you go to either one of those locations and you need help with the application, they can connect you with the International Institute, which can help you with translation services. I will also add that on the LISC.org website, once you link to that and you go to the web site, there are the application has been translated into 12 different languages there as well.
Yep.
So with that, we are so grateful that you were able to join us. We hope that you are successful in your application. And if you have questions, please do contact us. Thank you, Derrick. And I think that will end our presentation.
Thank you.